Welcome to the latest edition of the African American Athlete. I'm Ricky Hampton. Unfortunately, you can't see my handsome face tonight. And I'm on here with my two frat brothers, Michael Robinson and the great Matt Calvin. And I actually put on one of my Kappa Alpha Psi caps to represent tonight. And I can't even get on the screen, man. You know that's messed up. But we're going to keep pushing and keep moving because we really got a lot of important stuff to talk about. And Mac, I'm glad you could take a few minutes out of your evening to join me and Mike and help us break down just some stunning news in the National Basketball Association. One of the biggest trades in the history of the NBA took place yesterday. And we have another trade that broke today involving De'Aaron Fox and Zach LaVine. We're going to get to that. But first of all, let's just get right to it and talk about what happened yesterday with the Dallas Mavericks sending Luka Doncic to LA for Anthony Davis. Mike, get a quick reaction to you and then go to our great friend, Matt. When you heard all this go down, I thought it was, is this April Fool's Day or what?
That's the same thing I said. February Fools, I guess. Yeah, because, this is right after, AD's out with the abdominal strain. So, LeBron's in the Madison Square Garden, the greatest arena on earth and all that, and messes around and gets a triple-double. Now, the announcers was sitting there saying that he hasn't had one before. He actually had a 50.3 triple-double, but then they rescinded on a rebound, I think, the following day. And I'll never forget that. He had a 50-point triple-double, and they took away one of the rebounds the following day. But, yeah, I was sitting there still saying, like, man, this dude knows how to, put on a show in the quintessential basketball arena. So I'm looking at that. Then I said, man, somebody's making up this mess about AD going to Dallas for Doncic, especially when Doncic and LeBron kind of do the same thing. I mean, now it's going to be like, who's going to have the ball in their hands? It's going to be a problem there. Because we were worried about it when Kyrie went to Dallas that, okay, it's going to be a problem because both of them need the ball in their hands. And now you go to the guy, the ultimate guy, universal knife, I guess you could say, a jackknife, whatever, that he does everything. He can run point, play center, power forward, small forward, two guard, everything. So this could be a good thing, but what also Doncic lacks? No defense. So now you let probably your best low post defenseman go and shot blocker and rebounder and scorer down low for a guy that's pretty much plays the same way LeBron does. So it's going to be interesting how this works out. And is this the beginning of another big deal?
Your thoughts, Matt?
Well, first of all,
and Derek, I mentioned Derek. I was talking to our friend Derek Gerber today, but Mike brought up a good point. How they play. Give us your thoughts on the deal and how you see these two guys playing together.
Well, thank you. Happy New Year to you guys, and thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure. Let me correct you on a couple things, Ricky. This is not the greatest trade deal in the history of the NBA. Probably the most current over the last 5 years. But Wilt Chamberlain was a mega trade.
Yeah, one of the biggest.
Shaq coming to LA was a major trade. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar coming here. So there were a lot of great trades that has taken place. LeBron's probably in the mix of two of them, going to Miami and going to coming to LA. So there have been a lot of really major trades over the course, but nothing surprises me. Let me get to the point in regards to the current trade. It really helps Dallas in the immediate short term. You have a 31-year-old AD that will be 32 in March. And then you have a young 25-year-old Luka Doncic. AD fits in very well with that young team. They needed a center. They needed a scorer. There's something going on behind the scene. We will later find out because both of these players have had nothing but major injuries over their career. And let's start off with Luka, who's 25 years old. Here's a young man that has missed out of 328 games over the last 3 years. He's missed a total well over 50 games. So actually, to be correct, 73 games. I look up the numbers, and for the Lakers, that's a trade for the future. That's nothing but a trade for the future. LeBron and Luka cannot play together. Both of those players need to have the ball in their hands. That's a trade that's building for the future. And as I shared with some other folks last night, that I don't see LeBron playing there after this year. I see him going to Golden State, playing with the team where he has a chance to win a championship. And everything's in his hand. He's in a player's option year coming up this summer. I don't see how he'll sign with the Lakers. I mean, they're not going anyplace. They're absolutely not going anyplace this year. And so it's a trade for the Lakers for the future to build around Luka Doncic. And I question that because, as I said, he's missed 73 games out of 328 games over the last 3 years. That's a large percentage. Now let's go back to AD. AD fits in very well with that young core. They've got Lively's out for the foreseeable future, perhaps until the end of the year. But they got Gafford, who's a tremendous center, and now they can slide AD over to the forward position, which he's been really trying to get there for a long time, trying to play the forward position with them having a backup. The Lakers did not have that backup. I thought they would trade for Capella over in Atlanta. And if they did that, I think that Lakers would have been pretty solid. But you have a situation where I think that Dallas was not going to sign Luka. He has an option year coming up next summer. They realized they weren't going to sign him. And I think that he's got some, in my opinion, as almost 40 years in the NBA, ABA as a player and a coach. Behind the scene, when I see a player miss that many games, he's missed a total of 25 games this year. So that tells you 25 years old and you miss that many games. So it's a constant problem after constant problem. And so the Dallas Mavericks did a great service, great job of building for their future. You got another good 4 or 5 more years with AD and around with Kyrie. Kyrie's, I think, 32. So they've got a good young nucleus. And so that's what I saw where the problem is. I think you've got an old AD who missed a lot of games, and to be corrected on my end, looking up the numbers, AD has missed 162 ball games over the last 5 years out of 410. Now I'm a USC graduate. Wasn't good in math, but I was good in counting dollars. But I can tell you that's a lot of games. That's not quite 70% of the games he's played in. So that's 3 seasons. That's basically 2 seasons, 82 ball games. So out of 5. So that tells me that this is an injury-prone young man who will be 32, and the Lakers did not see a long-term future in AD. And that's my viewpoint, my perspective on the whole trade. It's good for Dallas long-term. And with the Lakers, I'm not quite sure it's good for them in the short term. I think it's a building project. And it's going to take away from the creativity that you thought Kyrie couldn't get along and play with Kyrie Irving. Luka cannot play with AD. That's going to be a major problem.
You don't think Luka can play with LeBron? Is what you mean?
Not at all. Not when it's in critical minutes. Both players at the end of the day, minute 2, 3 minutes to go, have to have the ball in their hand. And LeBron is not going to stand around and watch Luka do his thing. Kyrie was very sensitive and put up with it, realized that they both could coexist, but it didn't work out at the beginning. So right. I don't see that happening. And the Dallas Mavericks pick up 2 starters. This kid, Max Christie, can play. He's a starter. They're lacking a point guard, and he's a young player that's going to fit in very nicely. They thought they picked up Dinwiddie could play well, but Dinwiddie hasn't been proven to be successful with that franchise, right, as of now. But Mark Christie can play, and then of course now you got AD.
Okay,
So-
Mike, sounds like you want to get in there.
Yeah. My question, going back to when you said he needs to go to a place where he can win, LeBron, and then you mentioned Golden State. Golden State is worse than the Lakers right now. So
I don't think it'll happen, Mike. Not to cut you off. I don't think LeBron going to Golden State this year. I think LeBron has another year or two. I think LeBron and Steph Curry will play very well. That's a good young ball club. LeBron will not play for the Lakers next year. He has a player's option.
But you think going to Golden State would be a good thing for him?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. They got Steph Curry can still play, but he's just playing with a lot of young kids. And you got Draymond Green, who is still a quality, solid player, along with Davis and a lot of those young kids that they have there. Oh, absolutely. I mean, LeBron is at what, 50, 55, $60 million next year. He can sign a short-term 2-year contract at $95, $100 million, and he can get away. Oh, I think no question that LeBron will leave the Lakers and go to a contending team. I said Golden State because it's been thrown out there that those two would love to play together.
Mike, I actually watched the Lakers and Knicks last night, and I'm just amazed at what this guy's doing at 40 years old. How long can he play?
Only God knows. Only God knows. But he keeps himself in great shape.
Maybe some of that'll rub off on Luka.
No. Leopard doesn't change spots, man. I think they talked about Luka in his some of the drinking habits he had. He used to love the beer. He got married. They said that was going to calm him down. But Luka can't control himself on the court with the officials, and that hurts him. But I think there's more hidden behind this. You don't give up a 25-year mega superstar for a 32-year-old guy. You just don't. That does not make sense unless there's some problems behind the scene that we do not know. This kid's missed 20-something games this year, man.
I agree with that. Yeah,
he's missed 20. He has missed 26 games this year out of 50. That's not even playing half the year.
But if you're coaching them, Mac, and you have coached in the NBA, what's the conversation you had? I'm sure you bring both these guys in your office and sit them down.
If he can't get along with Jason Kidd, he is not going to get along with that egotistical Redick. It will not happen. Plus, he doesn't have LeBron. LeBron will try to help him and support him. But you've got 3 more months left in this season. Tell me who are they going to supplant in the Western Conference? They're going to come in 8, 9, 10. I can't see them making a run. They had a great opportunity with AD, but I can't. Who plays the center for them? I mean, they can't even. Their defense is horrible now. They can't even guard their luggage in the airport. Now, how are they going to guard anyone else?
That's what was so impressive about them last night. I thought they did a great job on defense last night. That was just one game, though.
Absolutely. Great game plan. They double team Towns and the little man and Bronson. They did a phenomenal job. But the problem last night with the young kid went down, Anunoby. Yeah, when he went down, that was it.
Non-contact injury too.
Yes, yeah. Well, that's a problem that he's going to have to take care of in the offseason with surgery or something. But he missed quite a few games already. So that's my take of this.
The Luka trade, and then I want to get to this new one. But this is a quote from the Mavericks GM. He's saying he was saying that maybe 10 years from now people will hate me. But there were some unique things about his contract that we had to pay attention to. There are other teams that were loading up that he was going to have, and he was not going to be able to decide and make his own decisions. on whether he wants to be here or not. So he's really saying he didn't know if Ruka wanted to stay or not. So instead of waiting for that, they shipped him out, and they feel Davis is a much better defensive player, which of course he is.
Well, he fits their team. He fits their need right now. And again, you have a problem with Anthony Davis only playing 65, 70% of the games. But they got a good backup in Gafford. I think it'll take a lot of pressure off of AD. He can now play the power forward position and not have to do all the dirty work around the rim and put Gafford there. And a young kid, Lively, when he comes back, it's just going to make them a lot stronger. I look at them as one of the top 4 or 5 teams in the conference now. And then again, you talk about, as I said earlier, there's some uncertainties that were going on, whether it's off the court issues but you just articulated the fact that it's a contractual issue.
Yeah, and that was Nico Harrison. I was quoting.
And Nico's very honest. He's very fair, but you don't give up a superstar and one of the top 10 players just for a 32-year-old who only plays 70% of the game. So I think that's a great move.
Well, but also from what I heard is that AD may have dropped his no trade clause so Dallas can make more moves. And, I guess that's what they're worried about is once AD's contract is over, that will he stay in Dallas, and then we give away our future for a rental player. So that's also, I guess, what went into it is that now is AD going to be on a revenge tour while he's in Dallas? Is he going to play out of his mind now? And is he going to make sure he doesn't leave the court while he's hurt right now? But I'm just wondering, will this change his whole persona that, hey, I actually got traded and I wasn't a part of the trade, or I wasn't for the trade like he was, trying to get out of New Orleans.
Right.
So I'm just wondering, will this change his whole psyche now that he's somewhat been betrayed, as people have thrown out there?
Mike, these guys will get over it. They're making money. They'll get over it. Okay, trust me. He in the long run, he is one represented by LeBron James, by Crunch, by Paul. They all knew, LeBron said he didn't have any idea. That's a bunch. You can't never tell me LeBron did not know. He probably knew that day when the trade went down. And then I'm not trying to correct you, but the only player that I know, 2 players that I know in the league today has no trade contract, because they did away with that sometime 3 or 4 years ago in the old collective bargain agreement. And that's Bradley Beal and LeBron James. And maybe Steph Curry, they're not going to trade him. But I think AD saw that he has a better chance long run to win. And I think there's no question in my mind that AD said LeBron may be out of here in the summer, because he has that option. And I think he looked at it long term and he and agreed with the trade.
Yeah, and hey, they had a good run together. They won a championship.
In the bubble, with 50, 60 games. So, you to put an asterisk behind it, but they still won.
Yeah, they're champs.
At the end of the day, players want to win championship. They want an opportunity to get to the finals and have a chance to win. And I think AD looked at that. I think that Paul with Crotch Sports, he looked at it, who represents LeBron, and they already figured LeBron is out of here. So let me put my player in a better position where he has a chance to win long term. You're still going to have to get past Oklahoma and Denver. Denver, don't fall asleep on them. Denver's still there. That's my old team. But Oklahoma, you're gonna have to beat them boys in a 7-game series.
Okay, let's go to this trade today, and we can come back. And also, I want to get you guys' thoughts on Jimmy Butler. You can't be happy playing for $50 million a year in Miami. We're going to get to that, but the news of the day, the Aaron Fox, who a couple of years ago, he had a tremendous season in Sacramento, has been traded to San Antonio, and Zach LaVine is going from Chicago to Sacramento, and the Spurs The Bulls get Zach Collins, Trey Jones, and Kevin Huerter, and a first-round pick from the Spurs. The Kings get Levine, City, Cisco, and 3 first-round picks. And the Spurs get Fox and Jordan McLaughlin, who I don't even know.
Oh, he's an SC guy.
Okay.
Drafted by
The
Minnesota.
headliners here are Levine going to San Antonio, Sacramento, and Fox going to San Antonio. Your thoughts on that trade, Matt, and then you, Mike.
Well, I'll let Mike go first. He's he's a pro. I have a chance to talk to him.
All right. Well, remember this whole thing kind of got percolating when Mike Brown was fired, and then some people thought that he wasn't really getting along with De'Aaron, and then De'Aaron said that no, he didn't want to have him gone, and then Doug Christie came in, and they were playing well, so it looked like everything was all great up in the state's capital. But then you started to say, well, hey, maybe De'Aaron Fox is going to be on the trading block. Maybe he wants to go to greener pastures or something like that. So then it was a few teams that were thrown out there, but the principals seemed to be the Spurs. But of course, the Spurs don't have a whole lot to deal with. That's why it had to be a multi-team trade, because a lot of their money is wrapped up into the 7-8 or 7-6 sensation. So this kind of was seen as a possible move, but you didn't know if it's going to really come to fruition. And then Zach LaVine's name has been mentioned so much, but as Mac has said so eloquently, the last couple players have been injured a lot, and Zach LaVine could go into that list too, along with Andy and Luka, and several others. So we don't know what Zach LaVine has left. I mean, you really think about it, his last big highlight was the dunk contest, where people say that he should have lost to our guy in Denver. So, it's De'Aaron Fox, like you said, he had a great year a couple years ago when they were really good, but then they got to the playoffs. De'Aaron had the finger injury, and it pretty much compromised his whole series. And they actually had the Warriors in a position to beat them, and they lost to them, and they haven't been the same since. They digressed last year, and then I guess they were getting off to a bad start this year. And the brass said, hey, Mike Brown, maybe the reason we're not getting over the hump, so they got rid of him. But now your star player is gone. So I don't know what's going to happen up a little north from here, about 90 miles north of here.
Yeah, and Sacramento is currently 24-24 in the 10th spot. San Antonio is in the 12th spot, 21-25. So neither one of these teams are going to challenge for the Western Conference title as the season moves along. But nonetheless, Matt, your thoughts on what happened here?
Well, thank you. Let's start off with the Sacramento Kings. That's a dysfunctional franchise. And De'Aaron Fox have had 5 coaches in the last 4 years, from Alvin Gentry to Mike Brown to interim coaches. You have the honeymoon is over. Doug Christie came in the first 10 games. They were 8-2, but they resorted back to their normal play, getting the ball in the Saban. That's a running team, which is not allowed to run. If you look at the young kid Murray, he's not even playing. Has taken another step up to another level. He's not been playing at the level where he should be in his second or third year. Third year. Yeah, and he's not playing with that. But that all starts upstairs with the heads to be. It's a dysfunctional organization with a dysfunctional owner, and I think it's going to continue that way. They're losing out on a great young player who's still only not even 30 yet, in Fox. But it's a franchise that's a team that needs to run and get easy basket. And I think that the other kid, is it Herder? He's not played well. He's one of the players that came in there, or Bogdanovic, one of those players. Can't recall the name right now. But that's a dysfunction. They may get into the 10 spot to play in game, but I don't see them surpassing Golden State. Now let's go to the San Antonio Spurs. Just a fantastic career move opportunity for the young fella, Wemby. I think that De'Aaron Fox is going to have a tremendous impact on that franchise. They've got the other kid, Vassell, I think it is, or Castle, one of those players, young players who've really taken his game to another level. And they got Victor. They're building something. And if you look in the past history, when the Spurs had the number 1 pick with Robinson, it took a couple years, and then they won several championships with David Robinson. The same with Tim Duncan. Duncan was very fortunate to play with Robinson, allowed him to mature and get better. Well, this is the same with the De'Aaron Fox. I think he's going to help Victor. I think this is Chris Paul's last year. They brought Chris Paul in to do exactly what he's doing, stay competitive, but they did not expect to win at the level where they're playing right now. This is going to be a great franchise in the next 2 to 3 years in San Antonio. They got great ownership. They got great minds in the front office. And I think they're going to continue to build. They will be one of the top 3 or 4 franchises in the Western Conference over the next decade and a half, in my opinion.
Okay. Now that they have De'Aaron Fox, does Chris Paul have any value to anybody with the trade deadline coming up?
Not really. No, nobody wants Chris. Nobody wants Chris. He's 39, almost 40. He's just out there surviving on his maturity and experience, and he's perfect for that franchise. Chris can't play back-to-back games anymore. He's very valuable right now, but with Fox coming in, I think this is the end of the road for Chris Paul, in my opinion. Now let's talk about Zach LaVine. I think it's a great move, but is he any better than DeMar DeRozan? They're pretty much similar players. Zach is a little bit more athletic, scores a great deal, but then where's he going to play? He's going to play at the 2 position, and it still stymies the growth of Murray. So I don't know. I thought that LaVine would have been Zach would have been a great move for Golden State Warriors. They needed someone like that. But if that was the case, who do you give up?
And like Mike says, he can't stay healthy either.
No, he really can't. He's injured right now, but I think his injury right now is to take a couple of days off and see how the trade pans out. But he's a great player. He's a great scorer. But again, his health is a major issue. But where's he going to play? They've got a great front line there. But you also got to remember that DeMar DeRozan, who I've known since he was a kid, I had him in my camp here in Compton in Long Beach. And he's up there. He's 35, 36? Maybe a little bit more? Yeah. So how many more years does he have left? So that's going to be interesting. That team is, I can't see it. I don't see it going anywhere. They had promise a couple of years ago, as you alluded to, Mike. I don't see him going anywhere.
You know what? And he was another person that they said was kind of upset with the way Mike Brown was coaching. So, because I think he was going to be benched by Mike Brown, was going to have him come off the bench. And, of course, his pride, he didn't want to have that. So there was a lot of turmoil going up in Sacramento. But I need to also digress back to what you said about David Robinson. Don't forget, he was drafted in '87, but couldn't play until '89,
right? Because
of that your commitment, and then military. He didn't win until Duncan got there.
Oh, I agree. That's what I'm saying.
To '99.
Yeah, they took the time and had the patience to build around David, and David showed Tim Duncan's the rope, but they ended up winning 4 or 5 championships, if I recall. You can look it up.
Yeah.
But I think I see the same thing happening here. I don't see Popovich coming back as a coach. I think he's done. I think his health is going to be an issue, and whether they stay with the young coach they have now, I'm not quite sure. But he's doing a phenomenal job in handling that team.
He is.
Well, I kept messing with this thing and I'd get on board.
Hey, are you in the witness protection program, man? You're
Yeah.
growing a beard.
Love the hat. Love the hat.
Hey,
Yo,
Matt,
yo.
the players, I know, thank you, Michael. The players today, I mean, Mike mentioned Mike Brown and De'Aaron Fox having some issues. And that's always been the case. But now I'm reading Nurkic said he hadn't spoken to his coach Bodenheiser
But yeah.
in like 3 months or whatever. Jimmy Butler's talking about, I'm not happy. Dude's making $50 million playing in Miami, Florida. Yeah. I mean, I understand the players have rights too, but it's almost like it's just gone too far.
Well, listen, I love the players today. I think they're creative. I'm not one of those old OGs that they talk about, the old school guys that talk about the young players. I respect the players. You play at that level, you got to be darn good. But I do think that as I said, leopards don't change spots. And leopards gonna always be the same. Never gonna change spot. And in Jimmy Butler's case, he's a leopard that hasn't changed his spots. He's just moved from place to place to place. He's like a little Bo Weaver, always looking for a home. If anybody from the country know about that, old Bo Weaver. So he wasn't happy. He wasn't happy in Minnesota. He didn't think the young players. He didn't have the maturity to support those young players that they had there in Towns and some of those other kids, Wiggins and those players. So he wanted out. So he goes to Philadelphia, and he only plays there 1 or 2 years, and then he wants out from there. Then he goes to Miami. It may have been another stop somewhere. Chicago. Was it Chicago? Well,
he started in Chicago.
He started in Chicago. Okay. And I mean, here's a second-round draft pick who should be very happy and grateful. But he's just an unhappy player that's he's like Latrell Sprewell. And that the money is not enough money for him. And my take on this is that if I'm the general manager or the owner, how can I take a chance on this guy if I bring him in? That one, there's no question he has an option to opt in, and nobody in their right mind is going to opt out at $50 million, unless you're LeBron James or Steph Curry, and then see what you can get on the other side. And so I see him. I don't see anyone. I really don't see anyone picking this kid up. And if that's the case, he's got to go back and play for the Miami Heat. You got to finish the year. And they've been setting him up for failure. I mean, he's missing the plane. He's coming late for practice. I mean, it sounds like a guy who's destructive, who wants out to me.
If you're a teammate, how do you take this? If you were his teammate,
I would be quite upset. I mean, I would get in his face. Yeah. We would probably have a fight, or somebody would probably have to stop us from fighting. But I would actually get it, and I've done that before. You know, I have gotten in guys that I know stayed out late and caused us to lose games. And I quietly told, I would tell the general manager, let's get him out of here. I knew what he was doing. He was nothing but cancer on our team. Let's get him out of here. And this guy he's cancer. He's cancer in the locker room. He's cancer to that organization.
And Mike, he is wrecking his legacy, man. He had some great playoffs.
Right. That's what I was gonna say. I mean, did he gain enough equity for those two finals runs where they call him playoff Jimmy, and taking in the bubble, taking the Lakers to the brink, and then also the other year when they made it to the finals, they took out Boston, even though Boston tried to make that comeback like the Red Sox did, but Miami ended up in the finals again. And he got credited as being the clutch player, especially those shots he made against Milwaukee. So
Jimmy Buckets.
Has he lost that equity? Has he lost that equity?
Yes, he has.
Yeah.
And now if he's 28, 29, that's his one story. But when you're 35, 36, that's a different story. And that's why, I mean, one of the most loyal owners around And one of the most forgiving franchises around that will support you is the Golden State Warriors. They could use him, but they're not giving up. They're not giving up Wiggins, and they're not going to give up Kuminga, and they're not going to give up the young players for this guy. For what? For another 3 or 4 more months, and no guarantees that they're going to get to the finals. So he's stuck. He's stuck with the remaining contract he has. And what do you think? He's going to opt out? I don't think so. Not at $50 million plus next year. Who wants him on a short-term rental situation? No guarantees that he's going to re-sign with you. Nobody. Latrell Sprewell, you remember that case? He didn't want to sign with the Knicks at $20 million or whatever it was at that time. Minnesota. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, Minnesota. Yeah, he didn't want to sign, and they said, "Hey, goodbye, buddy," and he wished he had that $20-something million back today.
Hey, Mac, we got the trade deadline coming up this week. Is there any one player out there? Is there any team that you think can make a move? Is there any one guy that you think can make a difference for somebody?
I think Denver needs to make a trade. And I don't know the results of Westbrook's injury from the other night, but he's really made a big difference. Bron and Watson haven't proven to be consistent young players yet, the third year. I've been hearing a lot of talk about the Nuggets moving Gordon, but that could be a surprise. They have to make a move, and they've got to make a move where they can pick up a shooter, because they're loading up on Murray, and he's not been able to get a shot. And even though Porter's having a great year, he's still been a little inconsistent. They got the best player in the league in Joker, but they need some help. And so who's out there? I don't know. I can't see any of those teams touching Butler. Butler could. The only team that I'm hearing that Butler might go to is the Phoenix Suns. And that's because of the relationship that he has with KD. But but who's holding up that trade is Bill. Bill is saying, you're not trading me just anywhere. I'll stay here. You're not going to trade me just anywhere. I mean, Butler can't fit in Miami. You got Tyler Hero there. He's not going to fit in. He's got to play the 2, 3. Both of them can't play the 2, 3. So I think Denver is the one team. Oklahoma, they're just waiting for all their boys to come back. They're loading up when Holmgren's come back. They're pretty solid. That's a good, young, happy team.
Yeah, that's right. They'll get Holmgren back at the end of the year.
And get Holmgren back, exactly.
And you mentioned the Lakers earlier, with Doncic coming over and losing AD. Now they need to make a move for center. They got Jackson Hayes. I guess they'll throw him in there to play center.
He'll play center. Yeah, I mean they're
player, but he's better coming off the bench, playing 15 minutes than 30.
Well, yeah, I mean there's a lot of pressure on him, but he had to come off the bench with AD being out. I mean he's a serviceable player, but he's not going to get you anywhere. Now the other team that could be a major surprise, they have some needs, is Minnesota, but I think they have a coaching issue there. I don't think that guy can coach. He's not consistent. And then you got Edwards, who's really been inconsistent in games. So
especially the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in the West, you've got Denver, OKC, without a doubt. I think those are the two teams that you're gonna see in the semifinals or finals. In the East, go ahead, Mike.
I'm gonna say a team that before you go to the East, a team that you didn't mention was the Clippers for Butler.
Not going anywhere.
You think Butler working there? They lost
owner,
Paul George.
No, that owner is too smart. That owner, that owner is too smart. Okay. They got enough knucklehead. They took a chance on Porter Jr. and he's still a knucklehead. But they got you bring in a Butler, it disrupts their whole chemistry. It disrupts their whole chemistry. Kawhi, he needs to come play healthy. He's another one that's really have deteriorated as a player. He's not what he used to be. He's only 80% of the games he plays in, or 70% of the game. He's like AD. AD stayed hurt all the time, and the Lakers. So I don't see the Lakers going anywhere. I see Dallas now. I see Dallas moving up 3-4 somewhere. I really do.
You mentioned injury, Joel Embiid. I mean, now, Matt, when do you understand? Okay, this guy's injured, and wait a minute, this is a problem. Guys get hurt.
Hey, Ricky, the kid came in the league at 21 years old and had to sit out the first year. Well, that's not much to explain there. It's just he's an injury-prone kid who's never really taken the game seriously, get himself in really great shape.
Right.
I mean, where can you, he's almost 30, 28, I think, 29. Where do you see him in 2, 3, 4 years from now as an old, slow, no jumping player? He's got great talent, but if you can't stay on the floor and stay healthy, you're not good. Is he one of the top 10, 15 players right now in the league? Absolutely not. And then you got Paul George, who's injured. I mean, so when you make those trades, you better know the physical history of some of these players. And a lot of these general managers are not. They don't know the physical. They think that kid's going to turn around and play like LeBron all the time. There's only one LeBron that's going to be that healthy at 40 years old.
I truly marvel at what this guy is doing, man. At 40 years old. And he's doing this, and you got guys that won't play 25, 30 games this year.
Yeah, well, they baby these guys, Ricky and Mike. They're baby, and they're loud, and this management health road is ridiculous. It absolutely is. And the owners are making so much money that they're not getting into anyone's grill about why this kid's not playing and that kid's not playing. He's missing all. And these are ball players that are, in one year make more than any, or in let's say 30 games, make more than some individuals do in a lifetime.
Exactly.
Well,
that's it. So let me just get this in. That's insulting about Jimmy Butler saying, "I gotta find my love for the game." Dude, get the big dollars in Miami.
Yeah, that's because these guys. Yeah, it is. They think these guys they don't understand the history of the shoulders that they stand on. They really don't. That how guys we played. And I don't like going back to the past. If you turned your ankle, you iced it all night. You had it wrapped the next night and the next game, and you tighten your shoestrings up, and you get out there and you played. These guys, they jam their finger and they miss 10 days. It's ridiculous.
Hey, go ahead, Michael.
So, Mac, I want to go back to when you were talking about Kawhi, when you said back to what he used to be. But if you really look at it, think about it. So he kind of emerged onto the scene as a star player after that 14 championship, after Duncan and all those guys were pretty much out of the picture. And then, remember, he gets hurt in the 17 playoffs against the Warriors when Pachulia steps under him. 18, it seemed like he was trying to get himself back together. 19, he ends up in Toronto and they win. But then it seems like after that, remember, he went to L.A., and he's been pretty much hurt the whole time in L.A. So I'm trying to figure out where was this prime time where he was considered, where some people want to put him ahead of LeBron James. So that was a very small window if you really look at it.
Right. Well, I'm not going to talk bad about him. He's another kid that I had in my camp when he's 11, 12, 13. But I do agree from a professional, I'm going to speak on a professional standpoint. I think that he's cheated the game. If you go back, that's why the fans boo him in San Antonio. And one of the players said, "You got to stop, get over this now." He's been gone 6, 8 years now. And he wanted out of San Antonio, if you recall that. He didn't come back when he should have. And so he goes to Toronto, wins the championship there. And and then like most players who grew up in California, they want to come back and play with the Lakers or the Clippers. That's what Kawhi did. And but right now, he's just got comfortable with not playing. I don't see that fire in him anymore. He, and load management or whatever you want to the case you want to make, you got to win ball games, and you win it with your great players out on the floor. You can't win with them being with the trainer, throughout the week and not coming on the court and play. So I don't see that fire in a lot of these guys that's making that money. Now LeBron's going to play. I'm surprised LeBron played last night in New York because he played the night before. Am I correct? In Charlotte, right?
But he's looking at everybody in the world wants to see him play.
Yes,
on the biggest stage of basketball. So that's what I'm saying. But you want to know what happened though? When you think about that, when you say he wanted to go back to LA, remember he and Paul George basically waited to the last minute and said, nah, we're gonna sign with the Clippers and we're gonna beat LeBron instead of going to LA and joining him.
Right.
And then everybody said, look, they made a mockery out of LeBron, and then they did all those commercials talking about how Kawhi is gonna be the king of LA and all that. And it's been nothing but a disaster in Clipperland. So that was another thing that, what if he'd have gone to LA? Would he be hurt all as much? Would he have had some championships by now?
Yes.
I like what Max said. Some of these guys have gotten comfortable with not playing. I think that is what has happened. I think you hit the nail on the head with that, Matt.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things.
That's a bad thing for not only those teams, but for the NBA. Because people want to see they pay to see these guys play.
Yeah, I love the current players, but I think and I love Adam Silver and Mark Tatum as commissioner and deputy commissioner. But I think David Stern is turning over in his grave today when this new collective bargaining agreement allow these guys who are injured or who's not playing sit on the bench in just street clothes. They look like ghetto hoopsters, in my opinion. They really do. I mean, you couldn't go on a job dressed the way a lot of these guys are dressing. And I just think it's unfair to the fans and the guys that played before them. You don't have to wear a suit. David Stern said you need to dress up, put a sport coat on, or you need to look professional. And he changed that because that's what Allen Iverson brought he brought that street code. And that's what's going on today. I mean, I'm seeing John Morant today not playing tonight, but he's got a hoodie on with the mask, a ski mask. Come on, you've got to respect the game better than that, fellas. But he's in my opinion, you can't look like a ghetto hoopster.
Well, you want to know what's funny? You want to know what's funny though? Speaking of your connection with the Bucks, Allen Iverson had on a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar jersey that day, and he might even had a do-rag on. Yeah. And it was like, David Stern said, no, we got to have a dress code. Yeah. Then, of course, the whole hip culture said, oh, man, they're taking the fun out of the NBA. Allen Iverson changed the NBA. That's why he's on the Mount Rushmore. He changed the NBA by the swag, and then Steph changed it with the 3 and all this stuff. I said, you guys are really tripping with this. I mean, you like to have it connected to hip hop because that's pop culture. However, there's the same thing like with Dr. J and our Grover Washington. Grover Washington made a song about him and being from Philly. That whole connection, that whole jazz coolness was associated with Dr. J. So. Yeah, music and the league do go together, but let's not get the negative parts of hip hop the prevailing connection to the NBA.
And I credit the ABA. You guys kind of brought the jazz into the league with the way you guys played in the NBA. I mean, in the ABA, Mac, because you guys played the up-tempo style of play with the red, white, blue ball. I tell you, it was the most fun ever watching you guys play as a kid.
Well, thank you. I mean, there is a trend and a fad, if you want. I mean, we had the big naturals and everything, and the players today, they have the braids. I have no problem with that, but I do have a problem with the guys who are not playing. You can't bring that street code to a professional atmosphere. It's a bad look. The perspective is horrible, in my opinion. And I'm not knocking these kids. I just think that has to change from upstairs with Adam Silver and how they, because it makes it look like, and I'm talking about what businessmen and women that they share with me, how that look is horrible. Yeah. I know I'm gonna get in a lot of trouble, but I got to be real with it.
Hey, look,
no, you know what? Well, let me just say, Mac, you make a great point, and I'm sorry, Ricky, but yeah, so you make a great point because like you see what I got on right now. This is the kind of stuff I wear to a game. So
yes.
In all markets I've been in, I pretty much get credited as the best dressed media person, and they say, well, what's up with all that? Because you get some of the guys saying, well, why do you do that? You come to the games, you just be relaxed. I say, you know what? The first time I covered the Cavaliers back in like 91, I said, you know what? I'm gonna be in front of 20,000 people.
Yeah.
And I'm representing somebody's radio station. Yeah. I want to look good.
Yes.
And that's been my MO ever since.
I respect that.
And I definitely got what you think for that. I would be the same way if I was a 12th man on an NBA team, not playing. I was like, but I'm gonna look good coming to the game.
Yes.
When I covered games, I always dressed up. I wasn't always in a suit and tie, but I had a jacket on. I always looked professional because you're gonna be, everybody didn't look like you. And there were always people, man, who were suspicious. Who is this dude trying to get in?
Right. Yeah.
It's perception. ID, and some writer got on flip-flops and blue jeans, just walk in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's perception, fellas. It's perception. And I just think it's a bad look, especially from, the black players today. I just don't think you bring that street mentality and street dress to a professional atmosphere in which you got national TV, you got local TV looking at you. I just think it's because once it's over, once you stop playing, you got to get in the pub and you got to get a job, and people still remember, who you were, how you looked, and how you carried yourself.
Yeah. Hey, we got to get out of here, guys. Final thoughts, Matt, on what has happened over the last few days and what we might be able to expect to see this week.
Well, there's some positive. I think it's an upbeat. People are surprised because no one saw some things coming. But everyone's been talking about the Jimmy Butler trade. Where does he go? Where does it fit in? But I think it's a good bet for basketball. I think that Luka will be a great draw. Remember, he still has another year on his contract. And the Lakers are going to do everything they can. The Lakers have always had a superstar. They're just getting this kid ahead of time. And like Dallas said, we didn't know what direction he was going to go. So they got ahead of the posse and moved him. And then AD was available. So I think it's good for basketball. I think it upgrades Dallas now to one of the elite teams in the West with AD. And I think that it's a 3 to 5 year run for Dallas, with Kyrie's still there. Kyrie's going to be a much better player now that Luka is gone, and he's going to play. So you still got 3 teams. I think you still you haven't seen the good teams make any move in the East. New York has stayed still. Same with Cleveland. Cleveland don't need any more parts. And I think those are 2 teams. And Milwaukee, I don't see them going anywhere. I just think that they are. I see them an also run. But that's where 3 teams in the West and 3 teams in the East. I think those are the teams will be in the final. So it's good for the league.
Has Giannis signed his extension, Mike?
I'm not sure because they keep throwing out that he's going to leave Milwaukee. And I'm like, I get some people back at home saying, you know what, go ahead and leave there. I'm tired of you threatening us, and then you guys put up these poor performances in the playoffs, and then you sit there and say, I don't believe in failure. You should be thinking that you failed, and maybe you should show some more hunger because we got that one championship, and even that one, you were down 2-0. So that's the thing I was going to say about that. But Mac, what I was
Giannis just signed through the 27-28 season.
Yeah, so he's not going anywhere. But hey,
Right.
let me say this: if there's one place that if that will get them over the hump, is if Butler went to Milwaukee, because they're not going anywhere with Middleton. I think Doc can handle a Butler. I think Doc can handle a Butler. I think Giannis.
Exactly.
He's the one guy
And
that I think get him over the hump.
And guess what? His connection is to Milwaukee. Played at Marquette.
Played in Marquette. Yeah, but
And
you
that's
know,
Doc Rivers' school.
but he's crazy. But he's crazy. But he's crazy as hell and crazy as a damn bed bug. So who wants to take a chance on him?
Right. Yeah, but like you said, I think Doc could handle him, and
yeah,
it might be the best thing that ever happened. He probably will get on Giannis to talk about, dude, stop with this pleasant feelings of it's a myopia that no, there's no failure. You just didn't get it done, but you tried hard.
Yeah.
He could disappoint me so much with that one. I know Ricky agreed with it, but I was so mad when he said that because you guys were horrible in the playoffs. And it was an absolute failure because you were the best team in the East, and you went down like a fawn instead of a buck. Okay, so that was my thing. But I was going to ask you when you said about how Dallas is going to be better. I'm like, they were just in the finals, so how much better can they get than being in the finals except for winning it all?
Yeah. Well, they had a good young team. And Luka was healthy. Kyrie was at his best.
And Lively really helped them too.
What's that?
Lively really helped them.
Yes, he did. But he was young. But they got beat. Who beat them? Was it Denver beat them? Who beat them? I don't recall.
But in the finals to Boston.
I lost in the finals. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean,
they were just listen. They're just happy to get this. Like Merry Christmas. You got a gift. But they weren't going in. They wasn't going to beat Boston.
But what they did was they took out OKC. Everybody thought OKC was the Western Conference team, but OKC
too young.
And see, we gotta go because I'm being charged overtime here. But Michael mentioned something that I think we should keep our eyes on. OKC, they really have an outstanding team, but they're still a young team. Memphis is up there. Houston. No. These are still kind of young teams.
Yeah.
And you look down with these veteran teams like Denver. I'll even say the Lakers. They're not looking up there. Ooh, we're gonna have to play Houston. I don't think that's scared them.
Ricky, OKC was like a deer looking into a headlight. They know what the headlight's coming at them now. They know how to win. Okay. They know how to win. Dallas had it all. But OKC is the team to beat. You got to beat them in a 7-game series if they stay healthy. And with Holmgren coming back, and they got this other big kid, Hardenstein. Yeah. So they absolutely. Yeah. So they're the team to beat. They're the team to beat. So
what about Minnesota? Minnesota was supposed to have been a powerhouse.
No. They got dead meat. You got Randall. Randall can't take you no promised land. And Edwards, Edwards, he's dating a 38-year-old woman who may, who go keep him upset a lot of time. He's 24 years old. Don't get me started, guys.
Before we go, man, who you got in the Super Bowl?
Oh man, no, there's no question. Kansas City, brother.
Okay.
Kansas City.
Kansas City.
Yeah, same with me. I want to see the three-peat.
Hey, yes. You know what? I'm going to be happy. We're going to have another black quarterback win a Super Bowl. So
yeah. Hey Ricky, I'll take up a collection next time so we can get you some extra money for going overtime.
Mac, thank you so much.
Hey man, my pleasure.
Thank everybody for tuning in. We appreciate you. From my great friend Michael Robinson, my friend and friend brother, Matt Calla, my friend and friend brother, Ricky Hampton. Peace, everybody.